every single year that Sting was with TNA, as far as I can recall, there was the discussion in the newsletters. Is Sting going to resign? Because allegedly, even when he came back in a more quote unquote permanent basis, it was an annual deal. He kept saying, oh, I'll do one more year. His 1 year deal stretches until January of 2014. After Spike had canceled TNA, they could simply no longer afford Sting's salary. And that opens the door for him to return. I guess not return, to go to WWE. I know you weren't doing anything with TNA at the time, but were you surprised to see Sting finish up on a taped 2 week Genesis show here where Magnus beat him week 1 and EC3 beat him week 2, and fans here in Huntsville are chanting the Undertaker? And you fast forward later that very same year, several months later, he shows up on WWE TV at a pay-per-view. What do you remember? What do you remember thinking when you saw, okay, it's finally happening? Sting's in WWE.
Well, in 2013, when me and Toby were trying to back Controlling Interest, that was a kind of a part of the discussions. And the payables, and again, that's for another time, and we've covered it, that, you know, the death spiral of TNA finances in 13. I knew Sting wasn't going to be re-up unless it was unless new ownership came in. It just there was zero chance. I don't think he knew that, because I don't think, wasn't my place to tell him that. It was the Carters. You know, I knew all that. But when everything went down, and not long after that, AJ, and just, you know, the dismantling, if you will, of the TNA as we knew it, or at that time, the Impact Wrestling. But when I heard he was going to WWE, Connie, and I know you can relate to this, the fanboy in me came out, because it was one dream match that I thought, in the hands of the WWE machine, would be
Huge.
I don't even think it do it justice, but just because it would truly be one of those, we never thought we would get to see this. And I've said many times, Shawn Michaels, when you have a big money match, you better believe he's going to over deliver. I put Mark Calloway, different kind of match, but in the same category. When you have big money matches, it's Taker, he over delivers. And I thought, man, oh man, Sting is going to get to have the match of his career. It will be maybe the pinnacle of it, just because of character against character and promotion against promotion. And again, the fanboy in me, the match we never thought we would ever get to see.
And we never did. We never did.
Damn shame.
I understand. It is a shame, but I understand why we didn't. I mean, in that era, it's not like either one of these guys are going out and having their best match ever. I do think if we could have told a cinematic match like we enjoyed, maybe as one of the only bright spots of the pandemic era of WWE. But if it was like Sting and the Undertaker in a cinematic match, boy, I could get really excited about that. But I kind of do understand why it never happened. Something I'll never understand, though, is why his first opponent was Triple H. I understand that Triple H was the authority, and that is maybe why he debuted at Survivor Series 2014, because, hey, I'm going to come in and be one of the top baby faces, and I'm going to go for, you know, this heel evil boss management, whatever. Okay. But when they wrestled at WrestleMania, and the culmination of the story is not that the good guy beats the bad guy in the authority. Instead, we pivot and it becomes about, well, Sting's good friends with the black and white NWO. What? Since when? And now it's going to be NWO versus DX. I'll never forget being at that show, and I was fortunate enough to be backstage, and there's a talent who is pretty big name talent, doing a lot of really cool things outside of WWE now, who was sitting on a TV box watching, and he could not believe what we just saw.
Interesting.
I'll tell you off air who, I shouldn't say their name here, but
Yeah.
when you saw, wait, Sting didn't win at WrestleMania? Was that a head scratcher for you, or did you think they made the right call?
I've said it many a time. Okay, my gut reaction, and almost the same when Taker lost the streak. Almost exactly in my gut, I said, "Who got in Vince's ear?"
Yeah.
Somebody got in his ear. Somebody got in his ear. It doesn't feel like a promoter mentality that, again, it's not a Raw, it's not a TV show, it's not it's the big one. Not just the WWE, but professional wrestling in and of itself. Consumer confidence is built on the protagonist winning the money match.
Yes.
And it didn't happen. I thought somebody got in his ear.
Well, that young upstart Triple H got the win he really needed at WrestleMania. I mean, listen, the dude is on a major run with WWE. So high five for all the great creative. But my goodness, this was right in front of you, and we didn't do it. And I want to remind everybody that this WrestleMania or this Sting run in WWE, his first match is 18 minutes and 39 seconds at WrestleMania 31. And listen, I know we could nitpick it to death, but that Sting entrance, if it would have been at night instead of him coming out as this dark character in the middle of the afternoon, that would have hit. But it is what it is when you do an outdoor show. He's going to wrestle Big Show months later, like 6 months later. They go a minute 45 at the Forum in Memphis on Monday Night Raw. And then there's a dark match where he teams with John Cena to take on Seth Rollins and Big Show. And then, of course, 6 days later is the big pay-per-view, Seth Rollins versus Sting, 15 minutes and 20 seconds, Night of Champions 2015 in Houston, Texas. And that's where Sting suffered that injury. And that was Sting's last match. So you had one TV match, one dark match, and then Seth beat him and Hunter beat him. Let me just say, I am so thankful in a loud and clear voice. Send me your hate tweets. I'm ready for it. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson over on IG. Hey, it's Conrad on Twitter. I'm so thankful that Tony Khan got Sting back into wrestling for a proper send-off. Say what you want about AEW or Tony Khan. You don't know him as you're shitting on him. Just want to remind everybody that. But you could be critical of his booking or this or that or whatever. Whatever. Okay. I get it. I think we can all agree if you're a wrestling fan, not an AEW fan, not a WWE fan, if you're a wrestling fan, this is a much better send off than what we got and a much better use than what we saw of Sting in WWE. I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine he was there for that long and that many matches and was used really that poorly. And I understand there's a lot of tribalism in wrestling right now, but I don't think it can be debated. This was a much better use of Sting to the point where even you said this might be your favorite run of his so far.
So here's what puzzled me in that, yes, the WWE didn't create the Sting character, and all the baggage or perception and protecting the brand in WWE in that manner. But this is 2015, 16. So it's 14 years since 16 years since the war was over. They acquired the library. Hulk and Rock had that whole set of circles. They had multiple kind of iterations through it all in that, and Sting's the easiest guy to do business with. So I don't ever for a minute think that it was a political Sting rubbed somebody the wrong way type deal. and he had been at TNA, I believe. Yeah, I know we'll get into the NWA, WCW, but he had been at TNA off and on from 2002 to 2013, so 10 or 11 years. I just never understood the psychology of not monetizing Stinger the way I think that was laid out on a silver platter. But with that being said, it was a different WWE from 2014 to 2018. It was just different.
I really wonder. Shout out to well, I don't know if I should say their names, but I'm friends with some guys at 2K. And I wonder, I mean, the way it feels like to me is they had an idea saying, boy, if we could figure out a way to put Sting in a WWE video game, boy, that'd sell a lot of video games. And so since 2K probably has a pretty sweetheart deal with WWE, one of their major licensees, if they went and they said, hey, we really want to do this, WWE wants to keep the licensee happy. So they figure out a way to put Sting in the game. And then it's like, well, if we got him, an excellent way to promote it would be if he actually showed up on TV and we did something. So he shows up on TV, does the thing with Triple H, and then it feels like, okay, well, now we kind of got to do a match. But maybe they thought he's not sticking around. Triple H is as this evil authority, but it's not like Triple H was wrestling on a regular basis then.
No,
I'm not saying he couldn't get himself in WrestleMania shape and all that jazz. I'm not saying he didn't make special appearances. He did. But it wasn't like, I don't know. I don't think it would have hurt anything for Sting to win. I know it wouldn't have. Would have been fine. But I almost feel like, as you said, since they didn't create the Sting character, because we've heard forever and ever that Vince really wanted to push his own creations. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's what we've all heard. But this almost feels like he wanted to placate a licensee and then was like, okay, we'll do it, but we're going to beat him.
I was going to say, yeah, and then we'll control our destiny that way.
You won't tell me what to do.
We'll
I'm in
control. Yes.
I'll give you your guy, but then I'm going to squash him.
Exactly.
But like that all happened for a video game. Like the thing the logic in that to me is, hey, wait a minute. If they're right and they think that Sting being on this will sell a lot more video games, play that tape all the way through. It also means he could sell a lot more tickets. He could sell a lot more merch. He could sell a lot more pay-per-view.
But like Conrad, the mystery of life, there's some questions we'll never answer, because had he gone out in a blaze of glory in WWE, we wouldn't be sitting here today having the opportunity for him to wrestle in Greensboro this Sunday in the same, it's full circle in so many different ways. In his last TV appearances on TBS and TNT, just like what's best for Sting. Well, his ways are higher than our ways, and I'm not talking about Sting. So you never know, but it was damn sure a head scratcher in 16, 17, and 18. But here we are in 2024 on the home stretch after an incredible undefeated 2-year run. Again, from my personal perspective, Conrad, and this is something I was going to share, I don't think I've shared this with anybody, that the circumstances, we won't even open up that can of worms, but Ric Flair last match and my WWE situation took a couple of left turns, and the opportunity presented itself at AEW. Did I tell you that I called Stinger before I progressed on anything?
No.
Yeah. So I text him, hey, bud, I can share this now because
hang on, time out. Let me just mention this. He goes in the WWE Hall of Fame. He does a bunch of stuff on the network, even Table for 3 episodes with yourself, Sting, and AJ, mostly talking about TNA, which shocked the shit out of me.
Yeah, they wanted us to talk TNA.
And then his contract with WWE expires, and he debuts for AEW on December 2nd, 2020. And a friend of ours sent me a text giving me a heads up and said, hey, be sure to watch tonight. And showed a little love if you like what you see. And I was thrilled. I don't mind saying. Cody gave me the Iggy. that, hey man, his favorite wrestler, because Cody and I have talked forever about his favorite wrestler. He was a Sting guy. Whereas I
Okay.
was a Hulk Hogan kid, he was a Sting kid.
Okay.
And so he was so excited. Oh my God, Sting's here. And he's debuting tonight. And it was a really cool moment. And then fast forward now, as we get closer to like November 2022, a few months after Ric Flair's last match, you're no longer with WWE. You have an opportunity with AEW. You pick up the phone, call your old pal Steve Borden, who's been there now at that point for almost 2 years. And what's he say?
Well, the conversation was saying nothing's happened. There's been literally one preliminary call of, yeah, I'm actually available. Yep. On their side, on my side, I'm available. Really? Yep, I'm available. On their side, hey, we're interested. Okay, let's not rush into anything. So I'm like,
That's
So I
weird.
text, well, yeah, but I mean, we were both the feeling out stage because everything, you just see how it went. And I had a conversation with Sting. He's like, "Oh wow, Jeff," and we talked, and I won't share any of that, but we just had a great catch up call. And then I'll just say this: Sting said, "Jeff, I'll call you back." And he called me back a couple of days later, and he said, "I hope to see you soon." So he, I guess you can say he validated, not
He vouched for you.
yeah. I think there was, yeah, that type deal, and so that's why that happened. And then the next thing you know, which was out of both of us, it's straight Tony mindset. The debut, and I cracked Darby, and off we're running in that. And so for me to have my first match again in a tag against Sting, I can remember it because Karen was, I'm like, Karen, like going in the match in the dressing room, and we're going over things. Jay Lethal's in there, long-time relationship, Sanjay Dutt. Satnam, I brand new meeting him. Darby didn't know him. Sting known him forever, and we're going over things. I remember walking out and going back, and I'm going to go stretch. Karen goes, "You nervous?" or something like that. I'm like, this is surreal.
Yeah.
This is really surreal that I'm about to go out there and me and Sting are in a tag. It was really surreal for me.
It's pretty crazy, that you're here dressed up as Sting. I mean, that you got to do all of that again. It was WCW all over again. Super fun.